All right. Morning, Brad. Good morning, everybody. So today we're talking about Condotels, and Brad, just for anybody that has no idea what a condotel is, what is that exactly?
So condos in general, usually they're in towers, and usually there's no common areas typically, or there's no reception desk, that type of thing.
Hmm.
Where condotels they were converted typically from old hotels.
Mm,
So they went from hotels to being condos,
hmm.
and there's a welcoming desk or a front desk. Usually there's going to be some sort of amenities area where maybe they have like a pool in the back, and there's some sort of like area to get towels and supplies and things like that.
Okay,
So essentially, it's just typically they were born out of old hotels.
got it.
Now they can be brand new, and you see a lot of those in Orlando
Hmm.
specifically. You see them mainly just at Florida.
Yeah.
There are some California too. You'll see them in Vegas that are
Hmm.
built brand new. Usually they have an option for owner occupied, where somebody buys the penthouse and that's where they live, and
Yeah.
then there's the rest of the condos can either be a mix of either owner occupied, where it's the primary, or non-owner occupied, and they're investment type properties.
Yeah.
So also condotel, our condotel program that we're talking about here today, it actually doesn't necessarily have to be even a condo. There's
Okay.
also in Kissimmee, specifically Florida, there's a lot of what we call pudtels, and they're just planned urban developments. They're single family homes that are freestanding, or sometimes they're classified as detached condos,
Yeah.
where there's a common area to do daily rentals or nightly rentals. Um,
Okay.
so
Oh,
yeah,
okay. That's interesting. Okay.
yeah, it's kind of like the just like a community where it would have like a community center. Um, my mother-in-law, she actually she there's it's just it has an HOA. It's got a pool, and it's got like a common area for parties and different things like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're talking about here. But in that common area, they allow people to purchase the daily rentals. There's actually like a front desk there. So,
Okay. Nice.
yep.
Okay, so just a little bit. So 75% max LTV. So the lowest down payment available would be 25%, right?
Now, very quick update on that. Our
Yeah.
marketing material has not been updated because this changed so very recently.
Oh, okay.
So technically, our max LTV at the present time is 70 on a purchase and 65 on a refi.
Okay, so
And this was
30% down.
yeah, yeah,
30%
yeah. And
down.
I'm
Okay.
sorry we haven't updated the flyer there, but it's been so recent that we just our marketing team hasn't had the chance to update it.
Okay.
Apologies.
So 30% down. Now, does that change with credit? Like, could it be like 35% down if you're at the 575 FICO, or 40% down if you have a 575 or higher FICO?
Yeah, it could, and also it could depend on if it's a I-10 or a foreign national borrower with
Oh,
bad
okay.
credit. Um, or I should say, the I-10 borrower would have to have bad credit. The foreign national, they have no credit requirements, as we talked about yesterday. So so
Okay,
yeah, I
so
mean there is a potential for it to go down to, I believe it's 60 with the recent reduction. But
okay.
yeah, I
So
don't really see those very often. I haven't actually come across one that got
so
reduced that poorly.
so right now it's at 30% down. and then I-10 and Foreign National, it's going to be even more down, maybe 35 or
It
40% down.
could, yeah, it could be, but you're probably going to see a lot of 70 LTVs, to be honest with
Okay.
you.
Okay. Okay, it's 30% down.
Yep.
Okay, and then where it says up to 103 LPC non-owner occupied, what is that?
That's more for you. Yeah, that's something that Southwest funding kind of dictates. So that's lender paid comp
Oh,
is
got it.
what that
Okay,
refers to.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. No, I'm tracking. Got it. Okay. Um,
So probably what we want to hit on here is that we can go down to a 575 FICO on Condotels, and that's without exception. Um, I don't want a bunch of people with like 500 FICO scores thinking they might be able to get an exception here, but I've seen some that are like 574 or
yeah.
570. We'll take a look at it, especially if they have like 35% down.
Oh, okay. Well, that's. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
If
Yeah,
it makes
definitely.
sense, it makes sense.
Okay.
So, no minimum square feet. That's a big thing. There's a lot of other lenders out there, or a lot of other mortgage brokers that they have square footage requirements on their
Mm,
condos and
mm,
condotels.
mm,
Here at Acro, we don't have that.
mm.
So you don't have to worry about if it's a 400 square foot condotel or whatever.
What
We
about
can
loan
help out.
amount?
The loan amount is consistent for any 1 to 4 unit. The minimum loan amount is 100 grand.
Okay, 100 grand. Okay,
Yep.
so we got to look at like 150, probably around 150 or above.
Right.
Um,
And
okay.
there's a lot of those out there, especially the condotels, the ones that are used more for daily rentals. There's a lot of those like $175,000 condotels out there.
Okay. And
Um,
then, so since I mean these are pretty big down payments, like the sourcing for the down payment, is that pretty standard, like 2 months sourcing for funds to close and down payment and everything?
we actually at 70 LTV and below, we don't require sourcing of the down payment unless it's a foreign national. So you don't technically have to have uh, sourcing of the assets to close there.
Wow.
We do allow gift funds on
You
if
could
it's a
have a
primary.
so you could have a deposit of like 100,000 like the month of closing it and there's no sourcing.
Correct.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow. Okay. Wow, that's pretty huge.
Or the other way that we don't have to source it is if the cash to close is $100,000 or less. Then we don't
Okay.
typically have to source the deposits. That is different though for foreign nationals. We always need to see 2 months worth of bank statements, regardless. That's to qualify them, since we don't require, like we were talking about yesterday, we don't require like an international credit report or any tax returns or anything like that. So that's the way that we qualify for nationals, is looking at 2 months worth of bank statements. So
Okay,
yeah,
nice. And then, so income, full doc or bank statements. So for condotels, we're not going to use cash flow.
no, you can, you can.
You can. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I'm saying that we could technically treat a condotel as a primary, and if we treat it
oh,
as a primary, we would go bank statements or full doc. Um, that's why it does say full doc and bank statements available. But
okay.
most of the condotels, I would say 96%. I'm just kind of pulling that out of of the air there.
Yeah.
Most of the condotels that I've done, I don't think I've done an owner occupied condotel. So
Yeah.
it's mainly going to be the DSCR, cash flow. That's what we're going to focus on, especially if this is going to be an investment.
Okay, nice.
Um, Now,
Okay.
condotels, they like I was saying, a lot of them will have a front desk where they'll allow you to book the nightly rentals.
Mm,
It doesn't necessarily have to have that. So there
mm,
are some condos. You see this a lot in South Florida, and again in Orlando, where they don't have a front desk, but they heavily, heavily, heavily market the heck out of it online as a nightly rental.
Yeah.
So if it's that case, then we'll still treat it as a condotel. If we look up the address on the internet and we see a bunch of advertising for this thing being a nightly rental, that's how we're going to treat it because that's how it's being marketed. So,
Okay.
um,
Interesting.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So it doesn't have to have the the front desk or the hospitality checkout desk, that type of thing. And then you can close these in an LLC or corporation. So,
Okay. A shell
so
pass through
yeah,
LLC.
yep.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, pretty straightforward. Basically, very similar to the other programs where credit you can go as low as 575, but you're probably looking at 575, probably like 40% down payment, possibly.
At least 65
Or
LTV, so 35% on a purchase.
35% if your credit's as low as 575, but if you have
Or,
better
or,
credit, uh-huh.
yeah. Or the other thing too is if you pick a bad condotel and the cash flow isn't there,
Yeah.
if the DSCR ratio is between 70 to 79.99, then you're also going to get a -5 hit on the 70 LTV, which would bring you down to a 65. So technically, you could have a 750 FICO and still possibly be at a 65 LTV because this thing doesn't cash flow.
Right. Yeah. So
So,
if you're negative on the cash flow, if your mortgage is like 10,000 and your rents are going to bring in 8,000, then you're gonna have to bring a higher down payment.
or 7,500, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Using that as an example.
Yeah.
Now, the max loan amount on these is up to 4 million.
Hmm.
So you kind of have to be careful, especially if you're looking at some of the more luxury condos. And again, we see a lot of these in Miami Beach, that type of thing. You'll see these. You'll see a lot of them in California, LA.
Yeah.
You might see some in Houston, maybe in like South Padre Island. Maybe I don't
Right.
know what the max loan amount or what the you know I don't know what the high dollar condo tells look like down there, but you might run into $1 million one. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
you just kind of
Yeah.
have to be careful of the cash flow. And there's a couple of good websites that I use to help me figure out the potential cash flow. Ultimately, it's going to go off what the appraiser says, and I have a trick. So there's a website called airdna.co, and AirDNA gives you a pretty good idea of what your monthly, you know, what your monthly pool is for these daily rentals.
Okay. Nice.
So it's AirDNA.
Air DNA. Nice.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you can check it out for free, but the higher premium tier, if you're going to be an investor and you're going to try to figure this thing out
Yeah.
as an investor, that might be a good tool for you to use is that website. But what I was going with the trick part that I was talking about, it wasn't the Air DNA. It's having the appraiser um, appraise this as if it were a short-term rental and not a long-term rental,
Mm,
because the appraiser's default is always for everything to be classified as a long-term rental if the
yeah.
plan is for it to be an investment.
Right.
And usually long-term rental rent rolls are a lot less than the short-term rentals.
Yeah.
So what you have to do, I have a little snippet from the USPAP guidelines, and this is more for you, Jacob. I
Mm,
have a snippet of the USPAP guidelines that you can send to the appraiser and say, "Hey, Miss Appraiser, the best and highest use for this condo, since it's in a short-term community,
yeah.
is for you to treat it as a short-term rental.
Okay.
So please take that into consideration. The other thing that you can do is if it's a refi, or if the HOA has, or the front desk can give you like a ledger of all the short-term rent rolls, then you
Yeah.
can provide that to the appraiser ahead of time and ask for them to consider that in the value.
Okay. Nice.
So, yep.
Oh, nice.
There's
So
a couple of
so
ways to squeeze out better DSCR ratios.
yeah, appraise it as a short term versus long term.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think this is good. Yeah. So just to recap, credit as low as 575. Income, you can do either cash flow or was it bank statements or like tax returns or
Yeah, if you're
W-2?
treating it as if you're treating it as a primary, you can do full doc or bank statement. If you're going to treat it as kind of like a second home, you can you'd probably be better off with going the DSCR route and just treating it as an investment.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you could go either way if it's going to be a second home.
Right. Okay. And then assets, cool thing is no limited sourcing. So you're sourcing if you're a foreign national, so for the deposits, but outside of foreign national and under 100K required for closing, under 100K?
No,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
under 100K.
no proof of assets to close or
Nope.
sourcing of assets to close.
Yeah. So that's pretty awesome for, if you're dealing in a lot of cash, from your business. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
get that cash in the bank, people.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay.
So,
Well, I think this is good. Thank you, Brad. Good information. And then,
do we have anything on the docket for tomorrow? Or are we
yeah,
taking a break?
no, I think tomorrow I was thinking about going over the foreign national program.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we'll touch that in more depth tomorrow. Sounds good.
okay, sounds good. All right. Thanks, Brad.
See ya.
All right. Take care.
Thanks everybody. Bye.
Yep.